Welcome all. So now in this lecture we'll be moving to a next topic where we'll be discussing in detail about process. So initially let us try to understand the concept of process. So first let me define process. As already discussed, a process is a program under execution. A program cannot be called as a process. A process is an active entity, whereas program is an passive entity. A program is a set of instructions which resides in the hard disk or secondary storage device, whereas process refers to the executable code which is loaded into the main memory. Okay. So in some operating systems, process are also called as jobs. In some operating systems, process are also called as jobs. So, so process and jobs refers to the same thing. Okay. So if you read your textbook also, at some places it may be mentioned as process, and at some other places it may be referred as jobs. And when a process is loaded into main memory, it will have multiple pods. That is, a single process will have different sections. So what are the different sections and what these section contains? So that is what we are going to discuss, especially in this particular session. So the process is a program under execution. The moment it is loaded into memory, it will have multiple sections. So what are the different sections a process has? First, it contains something called as text section. The text section is also called as code section. The text section is also called as code section. So it has a other name which is called as code section. Okay. So instead of text, it can also be called as code section. So the code section, what it contains, code or the text section, what it contains? It contains the actual executable code of the program. Okay, so the process is a program under execution. Okay, so the program in the executable format will be stored in the text section of the memory. So it is something like this. When a process is loaded into memory, so let us assume that memory contains only one process. Okay, for convenient purpose. Okay, so this process again, so there is only one process and this process occupies this much memory. Okay, so this is, let us assume this is free space. This is free space. Fs represents free space. So there is only one process, but this process will be divided into multiple sections. The first section is called as text section or code section. And the text section or the code section contains the actual exe, executable code of that particular program. And process also includes the value of the program counter. Already we have discussed program counter is a special register which is in the CPU, and program counter will always point to the address of the next instruction to be executed. So whenever we talk about a process, the process the process data or the process state information also includes the value of the program counter. And also every process may use some and also every process may use different set of registers, and also every process may use different set of CPU registers or processor registers. So what are the values in those registers, that also becomes a part of the process. Okay. Okay, so the text section includes the actual exe code, and program counter contains the address of the next instruction to be executed, and processor registers. So these registers may be holding some values pertaining to this particular process. The next thing the process contains is it includes something called a stack. So some part of the memory will be uh, allocated for stack. Okay, so already you know about the stack data structure. So stack is a lost in first out data structure. It is whatever you push lost into the stack, that will be the first one to come out. Okay, so it is that type of data structure stack is. And this stack, what it contains in the sense, it will hold some temporary values. So basically it will hold some temporary data items. So what are these temporary data items? These temporary data items includes function parameters. If there is any, if this particular process is calling any other function, then those function parameters, okay, after executing the function, to which address it should come back, the return address and the value of the local variables. So these things will be pushed into the stack. So all these are part of a single process. Okay, so let us assume process 1. So process 1 was allocated this much memory, but the memory is divided into several sections like TS text section, which contains the exe code, and stack, which is used to store the temporary data items or temporary data such as function parameters, return address from function, and local variables. Okay, and then yeah, and then the particular uh, process also includes something called as data section. So what is data section? The data section contains all the global variables related to this particular process. Okay, so any process may have two type of variables, local variable and global variable. So local variables are the variables which are accessible only within a given function. The process may be using more than one function. Okay, so global variables are one which are accessible for all the functions. Okay, so the value of the global variables will be stored in the data section. What are the global variables used by this particular process, and all those values will be stored in this particular section of the memory, and that section is called as data section. Okay, so this is the next section uh, which corresponds to a particular process, right? And next what we have is something called as heap memory. So what is a heap memory? So we can consider this as heap memory. So heap memory is used to dynamically allocate memory for this particular process. So sometimes the process which is getting executed, it may want to allocate memory dynamically. Dynamically means what? Dynamically means allocating memory at runtime. So if any memory is allocated at runtime, okay, so if any memory is allocated at runtime, then for that this particular memory will be used. Okay, so for example, say there is one instruction in the text section or the code section which says that allocate 10 bytes of memory, allocate 10 bytes of memory for a particular variable called c. That is, this c should be allocated with 10 bytes of memory. Now from where this, now this process, from where it will get this 10 bytes? It cannot go beyond this particular memory which is assigned for this particular process. Okay, and also it cannot take any other memory. It cannot simply take memory out of data section, or it cannot take memory out of stack section. In that case, it has to use this heap memory from heap. So some amount of heap memory will be provided. From that, it will use the particular 10 bytes. Okay. So basically, heap is used to allocate memory dynamically. Okay. So it is used for allocate memory. Yeah. So I'll call it as allocate memory dynamically. So dynamic memory allocation means allocating memory at runtime, right? Yeah. Okay. So these are the different sections correspond to a particular process. So when a single process is getting executed, it includes all these section. It includes text section or code section, which contains the actual exe code of the particular process, uh, and it includes the and it includes the value of the program counter, which contains the address of the next instruction to be executed, and it includes the processor register values which were used by this particular process, and it includes a stack area which contains temporary data like function parameters, return address, and local variables. And it includes a data section which includes the global variables. Okay, it includes the value of the global variables. And also it includes a heap section which is used for dynamic memory allocation. Okay. And how a process is normally started? A process is normally started by double clicking on it. Okay. So normally we start a process by in a graphical user interface. If you want to start a process, you double click on that particular icon and the process will be started. In a command line interface, the process can be started just by typing the name of that particular process. The process can be started. Okay. So if, for example, in DOS, if you just type the name, that is enough. In Linux or in Unix environment, you have to type like / the particular process name. So like how you are executing a C program in a Linux environment. So that is basically it is a exe file. So exe file is nothing but a once you execute a exe file, it becomes a process. So how do you execute? You execute / file name. Okay, / some file name, say shell. So it means it will. So it is a exe file. Okay, that exe file will be called, right? So this is how we execute process in the command prompt, just by typing that particular name of the particular process. And in the graphical user interface, we execute the process by double clicking on it. Okay. And sometimes there may be more than one process corresponding to a same program. There may be more than one process corresponding to a same program. In that case, in that case, this it will be considered as different separate execution sequence. Okay, even though they belong to the same program, that doesn't mean that there is only one process. No, there are two processes running. For example, if you open Word file, if you open Word 2 times, then there will be two instances of Word 1 and Word 2. Now, with respect to the process, with respect to the operating system, it is not even though the application is same, it is not one process. These are two different processes. Okay, so this may be process 2, and this may be process 5. Okay, so multiple process corresponding to a same program will be treated as different processes. Okay, multiple process corresponding to the same program. So the program is same, but you are calling multiple instances of it. So this will be treated as different processes. Okay, so so that is what I'm trying to say here. And in some cases, a process itself may provide an environment in which other process can be executed. I repeat, in some cases, a process itself may provide an environment in which other process can be executed. Okay, one such example is JVM. So JVM is what? JVM is uh, Java Virtual Machine. So when Java Virtual Machine is running, it is a platform. It is a platform. So a platform is created. JVM provides a platform, but JVM itself is a process. But JVM itself is a process. Okay. So this is a process, but here in this, so we can call, say this is process X. I'm calling JVM as process X, and but it provides the environment. In this environment, you can execute other process. I mean, you can execute some other Java file here. I can execute some other Java file by calling Java file name, Java, say test. There is a file name called test. So it means this particular JVM, which is a process, it is providing an environment for executing other process. So it is a new process test is being now created, and this new process test may be called as process Y. Okay. Okay. So sometimes a process itself may provide an environment on which other process can be executed. So WSL is also such example. So WSL provides what? WSL provides a Linux environment. So it provides a Linux environment. So this itself is a process. This itself is a process. Maybe you may call it as process K, but here you can run several commands. I can run here ls. So when you run ls, this ls is another process. This ls is another process, and maybe this may be called as process yes. Okay. So this WSL is itself is a process which is called as process K, but this is providing an environment for other commands to be executed. Okay. So this is the overall concept of the process. So what we have discussed in the sense, a process is a program under execution. A process is an active entity. It is not an passive entity. The exe code of the program, once it is loaded into the memory, from that point onwards we call it as process. And a process once loaded into memory, it will have multiple sections. What are the different sections? In the sense, text or the code section, which contains the actual exe code. It also includes the program counter, which contains the address of the next instruction to be executed. It also includes the value of the CPU registers, CPU registers corresponding to this particular program, and also it includes a stack section, and also it includes the stack section, which contains temporary data like function parameters, return address, and local variables. And it includes the data section, which contains the global variables and its values. And there is a heap section, which is used for dynamic memory allocation. And processes were started by double clicking the mouse or by typing the command on the command line. And there may be multiple process for a single program. Okay. So this is the particular diagram which shows like the different sections of a process. So you can see this. So here the memory, it is shown as if the memory contains only one process. It is shown as if the memory contains only one process, but this is not the real scenario. You may have multiple process. So the text section will have the exe code, and data section will have the global variables, and heap section, this is extendable. So heap section can be extended up to here. Okay. So depending on the dynamic memory requirement, this much it can extend. So currently this much it is available, but it can be extended. And there is a stack section which is used to store temporary variables related to function call and return. Okay. So that's it about process concept. So we'll stop here. Thank you.